Hey there, Saint Riot. I hope you're doing well, YouTube audience. I wanted to make a video, and as I was getting footage for that video, I got footage for another video. This video, the video you're watching right now. I got some pushback on a comment that I made in a recent video where I said solo hosts in Elden Ring who used the Taunter's Tongue to get invaded wanted to have complete control over the encounter. And some of y'all were like, not me, I'm not like that, I'm not like that. So what you're seeing here is footage of me as an average everyday invader. I'm not streaming, no one knows I'm invading, I'm sitting at my house, I'm just every other invader. And this is the footage that I got when it comes to solo host Taunter's Tongue invasions. Alright? So, when you're like, you know, the people who in that video said, oh, I'm not like that, that's not why I do it. Maybe not, but I have never seen you. Ever. I have never invaded someone. And, well, I won't say never. I'll tell you this. I've never done it twice. I have never had in the same day 2 invasions where I knew for sure that I had 1, invaded a solo host, and 2, they were actively trying to make progress through a level that posed some sort of threat to them. This is what you're seeing here. This is what we see. So if you're one of these people who hosts and you run Taunter's Tongued and you're getting invaded as a solo host, and I see a lot of people complain, they're like, I want to do that, but all the invaders that show up are scummy dual spear users. I want you to look at what you're seeing, and I want you to look now and see how long this video is. And this was about, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 hours of me playing the game. This is what every one of my solo host invasions looked like. This is not all of them, by the way. There were a lot of, just standard duels, right? Duels at the Grace, okay? Which, that also sucks. But these are like, not duels at the Grace. This is what they look like. This guy's in Limgrave at meta level. None of these enemies pose any sort of threat to him at all. He's hiding in bushes. He's Taunter's Tongued. He obviously wants to get invaded. He doesn't even have blues on, so he's not even getting, blues. He's literally just doing this to get on people's nerves. And keep in mind that I'm not streaming, so he's not trying to get on my nerves. He's not trying to get on streamers' nerves. He's just trying to get on random people's nerves. This guy. So, when you're like a solo host and you're a Taunter's Tongue person and you're like, oh, I want to get invaded, and, this is what every invader has just dealt with the last time they invaded a solo host. And sometimes we deal with this back to back to back to back to back. And I will show that off a little later in the video. And so, when you're like, oh, everybody who invades me is like using dual ant spur rapiers or dual pikes or, whatever cheap OP build. Like, there's a reason for that. It's because this is what they expect. It's possible that I invade solo hosts who are in dangerous situations and they die before I see them. But I don't know that that's what's happened. Right? I never saw it. I have no idea. All I know is I invaded somebody and then they died immediately. I don't know if he had phantoms or not, right? So, this game is hard. There's a lot of enemies. If you got invaded as a solo host in the wrong spot, the odds are so stacked against you that it doesn't make sense for you to get invaded, right? people say, you know, invasions are too stacked against the invader. And they are stacked against the invader. But the invader has prep time. They have the benefit of knowing that they're going into a PvP fight. Now, it's possible that your opponents also have that, and that they're ganking, right? That's possible. Your opponents also have that. However, it's also likely that your opponents don't have it. They're completely unprepared. And so now you come in, and that's what you have on your side. That's what you have in your favor. What they have in their favor is there's 3 of them, and they don't hit each other. They are immune to each other's attacks. So they can just spam attacks, right? And, like, you have this entire sprawling area or dungeon or whatever. And for however you want to make use of it as the invader, you can. That's a benefit that you have. How you choose to do that and how patient you are, because let's be honest, if you invade 3 people and they're just like standing at a grace, it just becomes a battle of patience. Do you have enough patience to deal with that? If you don't, I don't blame you. You're trying to play a video game, and if that doesn't sound like fun, so if that's not fun, I don't blame you for not doing it. But you do have it, right? If there's 3 of them, time is on your side as the invader. If there's 1 or 2 of them, time is on their side, because they can get another phantom, a blue, a resummoned yellow phantom, whatever. If it's 3v1, time's on your side as the invader. If it's if it's 2v1 or 1v1, time is on their side. Look at how far I just had to run, bro. For this 1v1, quote unquote, my man's got the rune arc. My man's got twice as many flasks as I do. And keep in mind, again, not stream sniping. This is just a regular person. Me and every other average, everyday invader, this is what we have. This is what it is when we get a solo host. That's what it looks like. 90% of the time. The loadouts change. Sometimes they're, sometimes they watch Chase the Bro, and so they wear his armor and use the weapons he likes. Sometimes they watch G9, and so they wear his armor and the weapons that he likes, right? But that's it. That's 90% of solo host invasions. And then you have the percentage that is this, right here, where this dude is just going to sit here and call in the blues. And this host is never going to leave the grace. Never going to leave this area. Okay, I take that back. He'll walk up to the platform, but no further. He's never going to go anywhere where it's not safe for him. Because this is a level where it's not safe for him. This isn't like Limgrave. If a random soldier hits you in Limgrave at meta level, that's not a big deal. Who cares? What is he going to do? Like 80 damage? Right? If you get hit by an enemy here, it might do 400 damage. That's a big deal. Now you're in trouble. So this guy's not going to put himself in trouble. He wants complete control over what happens in this invasion. And I understand some of you are going to say like, well, that's not how I do it. And I understand. Okay? But what I want you to understand is me and every other invader that I know, we never see you. We never see the person who's honestly, quote unquote, just playing through the level, putting themselves in situations where they aren't heavily favored to win. We don't see that. What we do see all the time are the invasions you're seeing here. And that's it. I'm not trying to shit on nobody. I'm not trying to say that you don't do what you say you do or anything like that. But I would like to point out again, like, if I invade you and you were a solo host and you were actually in a dangerous situation and you die as soon as I invade, that happens a lot. I'll invade and the host just dies before I ever see them. And like I said, it's completely possible that was a solo host who put themselves in a situation that didn't heavily favor them. They were actively trying to like play through a dungeon, right? But I don't see that, and that's what I'm trying to say. All we see is this. I don't know if the person who just died randomly, they might have had 2 phantoms. They might have had none. I don't know. But the person who is solo, that I know is solo, is this guy. And Guts at the beginning of the video. And the wizard from a minute ago. Who, like, you make me run, and don't even get me started on these people that you invade. They have the Taunter's Tongue. You run 100 miles to get to them, and then the first thing they do when they see you is they keep running away from you. And it's like, dude, you invited me here. This is not an invasion. This is an invitation. You literally turned on the Taunter's Tongue and told me to come here, and I did, and you still are gonna run. It's like little kids who like poke and prod at their older brothers, you know, so that their older brother will chase them around, right? It's like they like being chased, you know. And you know, I know I'm not everybody, right? I know I'm not, but I see so many people who are also frustrated at the same thing. So that, like, I don't feel like I'm the crazy one here, you know? I don't feel like I'm the one who's, whatever, you know, out of line, right? Like, other people also find it annoying. A large amount of other people also find it annoying to get, quote-unquote, invited to a world just so someone can run from you the whole time. Like, if you want to have your little bonfire duel, your little Grace Goblin fight, if you want to have that, you know, that's fine, but let's get it over with, you know, one way or the other. Because you're just holding up the line from me hopefully getting the invasion that I actually want. And, you know, now as far as that goes, I know that, you know, there's enough people out there who would like to have solo host invasions back in like an honest form, right? Where, you know, you're in the depths and you invade a host who's by themselves and they've almost made it to the bonfire and they're surrounded by rats and jellies and torch-wielding hollows, and then an invader shows up and is like, haha, I'm here to add to your woes that you are experiencing. You know, some people miss that, and from the invader's perspective, and I am not one of them. I do not miss invading somebody in Dark Souls 2 who had, you know, like 50% of their max health taken away, and they were completely, as, you know, as hollow as you can be, hadn't used a human effigy in 4.5 days, and were, you know, their soul memory was a million, and my soul memory is 1,000,000, and I'm level 150, and they're level 70, you know. I've got fully upgraded weapons and armor, and they have a +3 blacksmith hammer, you know. I don't miss that at all. And I know there are some people who do miss that, right? And that's just a matter of taste, you know, what you want out of invasions. So, like, you know, I know some people do want that. But what I'm trying to say is the people who don't want that aren't getting that from solo invasions in Elden Ring, because none of us ever see those situations where a host is just in a terrible predicament and then the invader shows up. So me personally, I don't want to see that. It's not very fun for me. It's essentially just a loading screen simulator. Some people do want to see that, and they are not seeing it either. Because what they do see when they invade a solo host is what you are seeing here in this video. And again, I want to point out, I'm not streaming any of this. No one knows I'm playing Elden Ring. It's just a random Saturday, and I'm playing the game just like everybody else, and this is what solo host invasions look like in Elden Ring. Like, these are obviously the most cherry-picked, annoying ones, but the fact that there's 20 minutes worth of annoying invasions out of like a 3 or 4 hour long play session is you can start to see, hopefully, how it looks like and how it feels to invaders who come across solo hosts. We never see a solo host actively like trying to like progress through the level or whatever. And again, I just want to point out that like I don't really care as long as we can get it over with, as long as there's an actual fight and there's stuff happening, like I'm cool with it. But the people who just run away and like you can see, like I'm not happy about these invasions, like the Moonveil guy, or the wizard in the mountains of giants or whatever. I'm not happy about those, right? But like, at least once I get to them, we just fight and it's over, right? As opposed to like the guts guy, and to a lesser degree this guy, who just run away and hang out and hope somebody shows up to do the job for them. This guy, right? Like, this is the least annoying solo host. But we're at meta level, and homie's in Limgrave. Nothing here is threatening you at meta level. I don't care if you're in New Game Plus. None of these Godric soldiers have what it takes to pose a threat to you. And the fact that he's killing them in one hit leads me to believe that we are not in New Game Plus. This person is never in any danger of anything happening insofar as the level is concerned. This is a glorified duel where you have sort of carte blanche to drink your flasks and use your rune arcs and summon blues, because it's technically an invasion, except it's not, because you told me to come here. You used an item that said, hey, come here. That's an invitation, not an invasion. Like, there's a difference. Those are different things. I left the loading screen in here, and I did it because I wanted you to see that these invasions were back-to-back. I'm going to speed it up, but this is not edited, other than the fact that it's sped up. Like, I leave his world, I sit here, I'm hanging out, maybe go get a drink of water, get some coffee or something. I come back to my controller, I use the finger, and I get an invasion. And what do I get after that solo host? I get another solo host. Oh, I kind of spoiled this. I talked about it, but you guys hadn't seen it yet. Okay, here's the Moonveil guy. Anyway, and I had way more solo host invasions than just these. I just included the ones where it was like especially egregious because they ran for so long, they did next to nothing, or like, these back-to-back solo hosts with, whatever. Like, they're just, for me, and for a lot of people like me, I'm not saying everybody, but for me and for a lot of people like me, these types of invasions just aren't fun, and I would rather not deal with them. If there was a finger that I could use, and it was like, you will only invade people who have a friend, who have a phantom, I would 100% of the time only use that finger. That's how boring this is. And I'm not saying everybody agrees with me, I'm just saying that there are a lot of people who do. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't be a solo host. Or do, what do I know? Thanks for watching though, I'll see you next time. Later, y'all.